Hello, everyone, and welcome to the PNMIT Alumni Video Podcast Series. And today we have a very special guest, Tejal Ravikumar.
Hello everyone, I'm Tejal Ravikumar and a batch of 2024 at BNMIT, and I'm currently pursuing my Masters at the University of Manchester, and I'm pursuing my Masters in AI.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
My name is Rishi. I'm a final year student at BNMIT right now, and I just wanted to know what made you choose BNMIT in 2020?
Yeah, back then, I think in 2020, it was the whole season of COVID going on. So it was a pretty tense situation about COVID, CET, COMEDCAN. It was all delayed, right? All the rounds and everything. So I was pretty much confused of which unit to be choosing as any student at that point. So I think what made me choose BNM entirely was because of its proximity to my home. It was pretty close, like at a walkable distance. So that was pretty much like giving an assurance to parents that, okay, yeah, this is where our girl can go. It's easier for her to commute, and it can help her save time on other things and all of that. And BNM was extremely reputable when it comes to being a part of the top colleges among the V2 institutions. So I was a V2 batch before BNM became autonomous. So I felt BNM is the right option and the best option at that point. And fortunately, I got in through BNM via CET. So I was more than happy that, okay, this happened the way I wanted. It was like a win-win situation for me. Right. So that really worked out well for me.
So it's like safety, and then there's the accessibility.
Accessibility, right.
Especially during COVID, when you have online sessions and maybe you have to come submit documents.
Yes,
college, right?
yeah. And again, when you said COVID, I think a whole semester went online for us. Mm-hmm. So that was fine, but at the end, when they wanted us to come to college at any given point, given the restrictions during COVID, I think this distance played a great role for me. I was able to commute easily without any restrictions and all of that.
For most of us current students right now and the juniors who are watching this, I feel like COVID and university are like two separate worlds. Like you associate COVID with college and school and stuff, and he or she had to go through online semesters as well. Right. So that's a whole new world.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, I was happy that one semester went online because it was it was during the first year of engineering when it was the C cycle, the chemistry cycle.
Right.
So I'm not a fan of electronics. So I'm like, okay, that went online. So I'm like pretty happy that that's fine. I just got done with that subject. So yeah, but it was also fine, but also not good when you have an entire semester going on at home. Right. Because it's college life. You would want to stay in college. It's like the initial days of college. Absolutely. But it's okay. I think it was just a matter of a small period of time and you just get along with it.
Since you mentioned that you don't like electronics,
right,
what is it that you chose at BNMIT and why?
Oh, I chose to do artificial intelligence and machine learning at BNM. Why? Because obviously at that point and given the time, as any student, I would have chosen to go for CSIS itself. But the thing was, AI was the trend. It was booming at that point in time. So I wanted to keep up with the trend, and I was very enthusiastic about wanting to explore new things. So I felt AI/ML would be like the right choice for me to do at BNM, also because it was a new branch coming out in BNM, and it would be more open to students about exploring and trying and experimenting and giving us new opportunities, being a VTU college at that point. So I was really keen, and I was looking forward to taking up that course in BNM.
So you were right ahead of the curve since ChatGPT was launched in 2021.
2021.
And that's the huge, the world was like, oh, large language models are there.
Yeah, so I chose to pursue AI even before the whole viral ChatGPT came into existence. Right. So that's when I was happy, like, okay, I made the right choice to take up AI. So I was pretty much okay with the entire journey of wanting to choose AI at BNM.
Okay, speaking of AI, what is AI for you?
For me, honestly, AI, being a student, having an entire knowledge of AI, I think AI itself is dangerous. I feel it is something that can either make things easy for you or completely make it hard for you. So obviously, I myself as an AI student, I use AI to learn AI. So it is making things easy for me, and I feel everyone should be using AI in whatever tasks they're doing, but not rely too much on it because we tend to get lazy from it.
Right.
Because I can say from personal experience that there is, I think, an extent up to which I might have gotten lazy because of the resources we have.
It's a curse and a boon.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I think AI is. I mean, it can do wonders, but it can also do a disaster to our intellectual mind. We might tend to become lazy. Like we get so dependent on it, and we don't think of, running our own pure human mind of, okay, yeah, this is how we can, approach situations. Perspectives change. And you don't tend to bring in your own judgment. You so much rely on the internet and facts from the internet. The human cognitive mind is what we are, lagging behind. So that's what I think AI is much capable of doing. And I think it has already done right now. So yes.
Right. You are an alumni of BNMIT.
Yeah.
And you said you are an AI student right now.
Right.
So that brings me to the question. What are you pursuing right now?
Right now I'm pursuing my master's again in artificial intelligence itself. Right after BNM, I continued to pursue my master's directly. So I did not want to do a full-time job anywhere yet. So I just wanted to continue studying because I was at that zeal of wanting to just study at that point in my life. So I'm like, okay,
Right.
I'm in that flow, I'm in that zone of studying. So let's just get done with it then and there rather than maybe waiting for a few years of experience like many people would want to do. But maybe I just chose to study and finish it at that point and just like, okay, whatever knowledge I need, let me just get it now and just get over with it.
So you're saying for your master's journey,
Yeah.
Work experience was not an important factor.
Yeah, for me it was not an important factor, but I definitely do think some at least internship experience is definitely required. Maybe not full-time work experience, but it's better to have an internship experience in the domain that you want to get into. Because see, if some people take up masters in different fields, if they want to shift their jobs or domains into that, but since I wanted it to be from AI in my undergrad to AI in my postgrad, everything was in the same domain. So it's always better to have some internship experience, if not full-time, in that domain, because you'll be more exposed to it, and even employers or opportunities abroad or in India will they might feel that okay, she has the zeal or the potential that she can learn, she's open to learning, because obviously they would need it everything on pen and paper that this is what you have done.
Right.
So they need a proof that you are capable of learning and you're open to new opportunities and different platforms where you can give in your skills as well.
Right, because at that point, regardless of whether the people you're talking to or working with know or not, you bring your own perspectives to the table.
Yes, that's right. That's more important. I mean, being able to contribute, I mean, that's the only place where you can bring in your perspectives. With the technologies growing today, I really think that's where your perspectives come into play. I mean, that's how those technologies are developing. Without humans, none of this would have been there, right?
Absolutely.
So it's all what you think and what you believe and what you firmly believe in working on, and what you're passionate about is what will help us to do and achieve what we want.
Right.
So that's what I truly believe in, and I advise everyone to do the same.
Speaking of passion,
Yeah.
you chose AI as a course at BNMIT.
Yeah.
How did it fare for you throughout the 4 years?
Right.
And clearly, it did fare well, but I want to know in detail because you've chosen masters as
Yeah.
well in AI.
Yeah.
So what grew you in BNMIT? Groomed you rather.
Right. Actually, when it was in the beginning of engineering, I was pretty much skeptical because engineering was not entirely my first choice. It was not my first choice of career. I thought, let me explore more options, and then if nothing really works out, I might come back to engineering.
Okay.
So for a person like me where engineering was not my priority, I was pretty much skeptical even in the first 2 semesters, like whether it's the right thing that I'm doing, though I've taken up AI, though I've taken up engineering. But I think as I got to the 3rd, maybe the 5th semester, or even then, I think that's when I realized that maybe this is what I'm good at. I realized I'm good at it.
Yes.
I did not know until unless I tried. I got into the mud. I did not know I could do this. I'm capable of doing this.
Right.
So I think that helped. These 4 years of engineering helped me realize what I'm truly passionate about, which is coding. I get it. It's there even in computer science, information science, every other technical branch. But I think when it comes to AI, it was new. It was something everyone is new. to it. Everyone was exposed to it. So everyone are on the same level of knowledge and intellectual thinking that, okay, it's new to all of us, let's try, let's know it. So I felt we're all at the same path.
You have an even starting line.
Even starting line,
Right.
it's easy for all of us to talk about it and experiment about it, because you wouldn't feel inferior about starting something new.
Right.
So that's what got me to feel like, okay, this is a good choice, and it definitely helped me develop a lot of new skills, be it soft skills, be it technical skills over the 4 years, maybe because of the exposure we got at BNM. And it was more of the collaborations we had over the past 4 years that, with a few, there was this one kind of program that was run by BNM, which started off with Anveshan. It was like a small project presentation that we had to do with different people coming from different branches. So, you get knowledge of theirs as well. And I think that's when I felt like, okay, I'm glad I chose a coding course, because as I said, I was not that interested in electronics, mechanical, which was more of hardware. So I was happy that I was into software, and I'm like, okay, maybe my life is a little easier compared to theirs, because
Right.
you have to learn a lot, right? I mean, it's one of the hardest branches for you, but for me, I felt like, okay, I'm on the easier side of life at that point, and these small decisions made me feel like my choice was right, and the 4 years of engineering taught me that I can also develop all those skills which might be needed to be keeping up with the trend.
But hey, realistically,
Yeah.
if I were to correlate,
Yeah.
it was due to the fact that you have a passion in what you're doing,
Yes.
that you were able to holistically develop as well.
Yes, I think I ended up developing that passion over time. It was more because I started off with not much clarity, because I was not certain about my decisions to do AI.
Right.
So I think I developed that with time when you started exploring new things.
Right.
So it was again the exposure to new technologies that the college also provided you with. It was more like a surprise to me that, okay, this is how things can even work. This is how even models can be built. So that is what ignited me to do it. So that drove the passion in me. Otherwise, I was not passionate when I chose engineering.
Right.
So the whole process of 4 years led me to be passionate, and that's what made me choose my master's as well in AI.
So it was like a 3-phase growth.
Yes.
It's like you started with curiosity.
Curiosity.
Curiosity made you develop a passion.
Passion.
And the passion grew you.
Yeah.
That's absolutely beautiful.
Yes, thank you. I really think the whole journey was extremely important to figure out what you actually want, because not everyone would step into any field with extreme clarity that maybe this is what they entirely wanted to do. So maybe I was one of them, where I explored and understood that maybe this is the right field for me, and
Right.
this is what I'm really good at. So that's how the whole journey was, from not knowing anything to having an entire clarity of what you actually want to do in life.
I think that speaks
Yeah.
on behalf of a lot of students nowadays, especially in our world where we have the ability to get distracted so quick from our mobile devices, which also boast about AI everywhere. In fact, every single
Exactly.
feature you see has AI somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's the company's way of keeping you on the product and keeping you engaged all the time. Whereas you can just take a step back, start looking at what you're curious about. This also routes back to the cognitive ability of a human being.
Yes.
So if you just take a few minutes, think about yourself and think about what you want to do, you can always grow it into a passion, as Tejal has done over here.
Right.
And that passion will start growing you, and suddenly you're this new person that you've always wanted to be.
Yeah.
And you look back at the time when you were confused, you were like, hey, am I supposed to do engineering or not?
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly what happened. When I look back, it really makes me feel like, was I the same person who decided to do all of this? I mean, I wouldn't, even believe that 4 years back it was me who wanted to choose to do explore a technology like this, get into
Right.
all of this. And now when I'm pursuing masters in the same course that I thought that I would never want to do, it makes me think that, okay, it's a journey that we all have to go through. As Rishi said that this is all about, we're in a generation where we might give up easily, where we might not want to explore, where we are very lazy. When we say like phones are we are very addicted to it, but we can't help it. Technology is growing. We need to be updated with phones. Now without it, it's like we are nothing. It makes us feel like we are nothing.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's what it's all about.
So coming to your post BNMIT job,
Yeah.
you were pursuing your master's in
AI.
And where have you?
I'm pursuing it currently at the University of Manchester in the United Kingdom. Right now, I'm in the dissertation phase of my course, which is like how the final year project happens even when you're in your undergrad. So even in your postgrad, you have to do a final year project and present, and that is something which again has to be workable, realistic, practical in all ways.
Right. And how has your journey been from having a college that's accessible by like a few minutes of a walk to pretty much flying away from your house and
Right.
staying in a new environment? I feel like a lot of our students here have that question as to how they will grow as a person.
Right.
Like, see, the studies in this place, it's concrete. You're
Right.
already fine.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
can make use of the facilities, you can grow.
Yeah.
But what about the next step? How do we take the next step? So,
I think the change from going away from a place where it's easily accessible to from not everything is accessible, it's a big change, especially if you're moving away from home for the first time and you're living away from home, not just your home but from the country where you're comfortable in. It's a huge change to be happening, but it's a change that's required for everyone at least once in their life, irrespective of whatever age that is. Maybe because you get to come out of your comfort zone, you get to explore, you get to understand what you're good at, what you're not good at, you get to prioritize all your daily routines in a way where you get to function better. And when it comes to, I think, adjusting your life there, obviously you tend to get a bit homesick, but I think in my case I was very, very mentally prepared that, okay, this is how my life is going to be when I move there.
right.
So from months before I moved there, I was mentally preparing myself about all the possible situations and scenarios that can happen for any overthinker. So that's exactly what groomed me to be able to adjust to a city like that. Because again, you are not having the kind of familiarity and social interactions like how you have in India. So it's completely and extremely different there. It's extremely limited. Social interactions are very limited. It's very how can I put it across? It's extremely streamlined. You
Right.
just talk about only things that is extremely required or concerned to you just then and there. It's just happens, cut and leave.
It's like a little bubble of life.
It's just a bubble of life. You're living in that bubble, and it's not too late before anyone bursts it. So you should be ready even when someone bursts it. It's like that. You gotta adapt there.
Right.
And I think when you asked about the question about, like, for example, the education system here and there, we are so used to spoon feeding here. It doesn't happen there. Not at all happens there. And of course, in BNM, when it comes to internals, we just go around asking teachers indirectly what are the important concepts.
Important questions.
Please tell us. We will know that. We'll just
A
prepare.
question bank.
Question bank.
Yeah.
Please give us a revision question. We just try asking each and every professor here, but that doesn't happen abroad. It's not as rosy as you think it is. We need to try, and it's more like, again, you have to come out of that habit of depending on professors that they would give you the knowledge you need. Basically, their internet is your knowledge. You just have to gather it from anywhere, and you have to be prepared. So again, it's completely on our cognitive ability there.
So studying is a huge research phase there.
Yes.
Right.
It's like you become an expert in research there. You have to push yourself to gain practical knowledge. We are so much into books, theory over here, but you have to do practical knowledge acquisition, otherwise it's difficult for us to be able to fit in or be in that rat race that people call it.
Right. So at this point in life, it's like you took one step forward
Yeah.
in terms of studies,
Yeah.
and then the other step was like growing as a person once
As
you
a
went
person.
to UK.
That's right.
And then the third step forward is studies again. right?
Again.
It's a huge leap as to what we're used to over here.
Yeah, because like there's a huge difference in the way you study here versus how you study there.
Right.
I understand you might be alone doing everything. It might be a burden. It can be burdensome at some point in time, but I think it's all worth it when you do it alone. I mean, again, you are fighting your own struggles in all ways there, no matter how difficult it can get.
You become this well-rounded person that you're proud of.
Yeah, you'll be like all-rounded in all ways. Like you'll be a holistically developed person, personality-wise, career-wise, even like personal growth, building your personal brand that people call it now.
Personal brand,
Personal
yes.
brand. So you get to network in a different way because you're getting adjusted to a new culture, a new experience. So that's something I think we all should try. I understand going abroad, it's a huge risk to be taking, considering the way the global market is right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think it'll get better in a few years. As long as it's settled. It's all a part of life.
It's like life is always
Ups and downs.
stress. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what are some of the programs that you had in BNMIT? Since you said there were facilities and all of that
Right.
that helped you.
Yes.
I think we spoke a bit prior to recording this, and
Yeah.
you came across PwC, the Launchpad.
Yeah, the Launchpad program, right.
So, can you brief me on some of the programs that you had?
PwC was one of the companies that I got an opportunity to do the Launchpad program, where I think it was selected for a few of us. It was a randomly handpicked students. Handpicked
For us, we
students.
have testing criteria.
Oh,
And we took
okay.
20 students out of all branches.
Yeah, I think it was, we were shortlisted based on our resumes that we were sent to the placement
Okay.
department.
Right.
And I think they shortlisted us and they put us into the Launchpad program. And that was the whole duration of how you do a Udemy course or a Coursera course. It was more like that, but a company is training you for it. So you're going to have a one-on-one interaction with even the employees at PwC that way.
Right.
So I think the Launchpad program was again helpful because you're not learning something which is non-technical. You're again learning skills which is very much relevant to your domain or your course. So I think I learned courses on Java, then RDBMS, learning something on IT, which again you don't learn in college. It's only something corporate teaches you. So because that's how it works in corporate culture, certain IT
initial
fundamentals,
training
initial training period. It's just like giving you a taste of how it's going to be in corporate. So I think these stages went on for a period of 3 months. So the Launchpad program was around 3-4 months, and again there was I think there was an exam at the end of it, which just helped us to get a certificate and just recognizes that we were students much capable of having these skills as well.
But since PwC is one of the big four,
Yes.
the certificate has a lot of value.
Yes, yeah. I think that's one reason that kept me going for doing the Launchpad.
Right.
I mean, because if you're doing some course, it needs to have value. It needs to add value to your experience as well. I mean, at this point, everything needs to have value. Otherwise, it's difficult for people to recognize it, right?
Priorities.
Priorities. So yeah, I mean, that's how the world sees it. So
Right.
why not do something that's worth doing it?
You know, speaking of priorities,
Yeah.
I'm sure you had this program Super 16, and
No, I did not have the program
okay, so
existing.
we have Super 16 now, and I think
Right.
our juniors, our seniors batch started it first,
Mm-hmm.
and actually in Super 60, the passion development, is like left to yourself, but then they create a world around you, and they show you how you can develop that curiosity and passion. and stuff.
Right.
So there was this one session by Vaishnavi Mane ma'am, where she spoke about personal brand.
Right.
And I think when you touched upon that topic about personal brand, I'm glad that PNM is able to provide us with the same right now, and actually nurture us in a way. So compared and contrast to that, what facilities other than the PwC Launchpad do you appreciate about PNM? Or what is it that stood out in the first few years? Launchpad is towards the end of the...
Yeah, it was to the end of engineering. So I think the factors that stood out most that BNM could provide, I think, was I got to take part in Producton, where I was able to mentor juniors. So I think that gave me a level of authority of how I can lead a team.
Right.
And you also get to know that you get to understand if you're really good at communication skills. So that built a soft skill for me.
Right.
It was not just about maybe mentoring juniors. It was also about understanding of how you can articulate thoughts to them and how they can build products. So Producton was one of the things that helped me, and Anveshan was one of them, where it was an inter-branch college presentation of any projects that you might think is really helpful for the society. So that did help me brainstorm my ideas as well and inculcate the habits of always learning on the go. So that was one of the programs, and the other one was Unnati, though it was discontinued midway because of some crisis that happened.
That's the first time I'm hearing about it.
Yeah, Unnati was initiative started by the Dean sir, where all branches were from, the students from all the branches were mixed up, and they were putting to different sessions, be it collaborative, be it doing a particular experiment or coming up with a small scale project. So it was again, no one were allowed to mingle with your own branch people, so that you get to know and have an idea of what others are also doing.
That inculcates a multidisciplinary
approach, collaborative approach, and wanting to work well and within a team and respecting what others also know about and contributing your knowledge to the table. So that was that program. Though it did not happen entirely, but still helped you do that. You still inculcated those skills somehow.
Right.
And I think after that, it was there was this one project that I went from. I represented B&M at Mysore for the IEEE Project Expo.
Oh, okay.
So where we developed a project. It could be anything where it is qualifiable to be presented at IEEE, as long as it's contributing and to the society and solving a real world problem.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So since mine and my team's project was based on a smart online voting system, and now we know how much of a hassle voting is.
Yeah.
So it's solving a real problem to make sure there's no fraudulent voting happening. So we took that project forward to IEEE Project Expo that was conducted in Mysore. So that helped me get B&M to the first place. So that's something that really helped me. So I feel, thank you. I feel that whole journey of developing the project, presenting it elsewhere, and representing your college gives you pride.
Right.
It gives you a lot of confidence that you are capable of achieving things on this level of scale. You can do much more. It gives you the confidence and the zeal to do more.
Right.
So I think these events and incidents helped me gain all these soft skills, which I'm able to survive outside today. Anywhere. You can survive with these anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I can infer from all the facilities that you made use of, it's not just being provided with, you have to take up the opportunity.
Yes.
Is that just go participate in hackathons, producthons, ideathons, all of that.
Yes.
And the best part is you got a sweet new perspective from a host, or rather a person who is making it possible. And you can see how she's also learning with you guys, So there's a lot of people who are very humble on the other side, and you don't have to fear or be nervous about how you would come off in a hackathon. Just go be yourself,
Exactly.
Be curious. People love that.
We don't have to be perfect in what we're doing. I mean, it's the hackathons or any such platforms are meant for us to try, meant for us to experiment. I think that's the facility that the Center of Excellence at B&M provides.
Right.
Like you're just open to explore all the technologies and use it, and if you're able to also bring pride to college and to yourself, why not? It's a win-win for everybody.
Right.
So you get to learn, and I think that's what I feel personal brand is all about. So as long as you are able to build something on the go and learn on the go and contribute to yourself and to others, that's what is more important.
Right. Give back to the world as it
Give back to the world, yes.
Yeah.
That's important.
And I hope the dean can try and bring back Unnati. It sounds really fun, actually.
Yeah. I think that was the reason. Center of Excellence gave me and my team an opportunity during our final year project to make use of AR/VR.
Oh.
My whole 4 years of engineering, I never worked or studied AR/VR. And I just jumped right into it for my final year project.
Is it that Ray Vector thing?
Yeah, it's the Ray
Center of
Vector
Excellence?
thing. Yes.
If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go to S Block, 4th floor, and you can see a Center of Excellence. It says Ray Vector. They have all VR and AR stuff.
Ray Vector is again a startup with which we collaborated to do projects. So I think it's a good thing that people can try all of that. So I think there was even Samsung, there was even Ray Vector. There were a few other companies as well, I think. So that gives a platform for all of us to explore.
To advertise on.
Yeah, exactly. There were so many companies that were there. So that's a good way to socialize, network, do collaborative work, and again, build your personal brand, like I mentioned.
Right.
Yeah.
So all these made you leap forward into the UK,
Yes.
University of Manchester.
Yes.
And now you're done with your course, pretty much.
Pretty much almost.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you're finishing your final year project,
Yeah.
so as to speak.
Yes.
And what is that based on? What is that exactly?
My final year project is based on building an AI agent, but this AI agent is completely streamlined in the research aspect, where it's helping clinical researchers and data analysts to analyze synthetic data so that they don't get to mess with the real data. And this data is the healthcare data of England.
Right.
So to always make sure you're having privacy and security and more of those technical aspects that you have to preserve when it comes to building anything like this, so that you don't tamper with data. So that's what my agent will be doing. So I'm in the process of learning about agents, knowing how to build them and experiment again to get there and being able to contribute to this again.
I think it's an absolute beautiful journey that you've walked yourself through, where you started with curiosity.
Yeah.
And you decided that AI should be a tool to help people.
Right.
And not something that you should get lazy with.
Yeah.
And now you're researching on the same. Especially for healthcare. So I think you chose like the true right path. It's like just the perfect way to go about it.
Exactly. I think you get that clarity over time. It just happened over time. And it wouldn't have happened if you hadn't tried different things. So that again came up only because explored, experimenting. It might be tiring to listen to these terms, but I think that's all your life is going to be about, especially if you are in engineering. It's just that. Because either you choose to pursue engineering throughout your life or you choose not to do it at all.
Absolutely.
But again, it's a journey of clarity.
It's one life, you've got to make use of it.
Exactly. So it's a roller coaster journey. It's worth going through it as long as you get to know what you want to do, even if it's something out of the field as well.
A lot of the students have this question as to whether to do masters or not.
Yeah.
And then the question as to where to do masters. And I think if you just be inspired by people like you and you follow through with your passion, everything just sets itself in place. She knew it was University of Manchester.
Yeah.
She knew that she wants to do AI. Then there's no more questions of when she's doing it. Just go do it. That's all.
Exactly.
So it really unifies your choices. It makes it just yes or no, rather than, oh my God, I have to pick between these many things.
Yeah.
So I think for the huge lot of students who are watching this right now, especially my juniors, get curious, start working hard. It's advice for me as well. It's not just for you guys. So you will eventually find your path. Don't fret about it too much. Look at how happy she is. That's how it's gonna be.
So about to add on to what Rishi said about when and where to do masters, it's not really about where exactly. It's about how well you adapt to the culture and life there and get exposed to the different social interactions that you might have there, because you wouldn't be having the same when you're in India, because you're in a region or in a zone of a lot of familiarity and comfort. So you tend to step out of it and you tend to meet new people. So how well you adapt to that situation is important. And what would your perspective be when you move to another country towards your own home country? That changes. You tend to value a lot of things that you never knew that might have played a lot of role in your life. So you need to understand all of that. It's not just about studying abroad, it's about developing yourself as a person, professionally, personally, at all levels, holistically, in a way where you come out as a better version of yourself. That should be your main priority. Because it's okay. It's good to be career oriented. It's good to be passionate or not passionate. It's up to you on why you want to do masters. But your entire aim should be to come out as a better personality and to also understand and respect different perspectives of life, work, and understand the work culture and balance abroad and in India. And also assess your options of whether it's worth doing it abroad based on the market situation at this point, because that's what is our whole point. And maybe one day you want to do masters and you want to get a good job. So it's better to weigh your options at that point. Maybe today masters might not be important, but someday it is. Definitely it is. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not this year, but after a few years, definitely it is.
It goes back to the philosophical point about how it's just one life. You work on it. Look at the world, look at how the world is growing and grow along with it. You balance your personal life, you balance your studies all together. And masters is a major part of that.
It's always best to do what you're interested in, as long as you can keep at it. So that's something that I say everyone should be doing, regardless of which field they are in.
Right. So let's move on to the next section where we're gonna speak about some fun times at BNMIT. Mention something. Since you have just graduated 1 year ago,
yes.
You have seen the autonomous juniors as well.
Yes.
So what is it that you remember very keenly from B&M? You could tell us multiple moments.
It just starts off, I think, from the time B&M became autonomous, but I was still a VTU student. I was slightly jealous, obviously.
Right.
But then I think it became fun banter between us and the juniors about, oh, okay, fine, you will get to have more freedom than us. We are VTU, we have to follow the strict rules and all of it. But I think we had more exposure, honestly, because we had a set of rule book that we could follow, but we could also experiment and explore within that. But the autonomous batch, they were new to it again.
Right.
So they were like put into a place where like, okay, fine, this is the new things that you guys have to try, and they had too many options, so it can be confusing for them. So I was happy that okay, I have clarity on the options, so I can try that. So there was like always a fun banter between me and the juniors about how easy it is for us and how tough it is for you. That was one of the times I always remember for the last 2 years of college. And I think the other thing would be RoboHawks. There were a lot of events that we conducted, like RoboWar and all these events between different clubs and all the intra-club competitions that we had. The entire preparation to those events was extremely chaotic because the coordination that you have between juniors and seniors, and to not show the level of authority on them, but also to be fair to each other.
Right.
But it turns chaotic but fun when they do crazy stuff of not listening to you and they do something else. At that point, it can be irritating. But it'll be like, okay, fine, this is something that you look back to, it's memorable for sure.
Right.
So there have been incidents which has happened backstage where certain components for the robots are not available, and we had to do some last minute arrangements for it, jugaad that you call it, yeah. So that was all that had to be done. And I think the best moment that I've had in B&M was definitely graduation.
Okay.
Yeah, I think more than it was not about leaving college, because I knew I could come back to college anytime. As I stay close to college, it was easy for me to come to college anytime. That was not the part. The best part or the emotional part of graduation was that obviously you wouldn't know when you would meet your people again, right? You have like shared 4 years of your adulting life with them. So it's like very important to stay to be connected with your professors or with your people around and all of that. So you create the best memories on that day. Maybe you would have done a lot of memories over the 4 years, but what you do that day is something that you'll cherish for life.
Right.
Because even today, when you just look back, okay, it's been 1 year since we graduated, we only think about, oh, we did this on that day, we went here that day. These are the kind of pictures we clicked with our professors. We made them do funny poses with us. Like, you go, imagine you just go to a strict teacher and you tell, ma'am, last time, let's just do a funny pose. Let's just do this. That's what you're going to remember. Yeah, and then when they become flexible towards you, you'll be like, okay, fine, you can have a funny chat with them as well.
Right.
It's the end of college, so you can have a casual, connection with them as well. So I think those are the memories that added up at the end of.
Like they have seen you grow as well in the 4 years.
Exactly. And you've always seen them as the teacher-student relation, right? You've always seen them in that strict, poised way. And now suddenly if they're being funny with you, you'll feel happy. Okay, fine, I can bond with my teacher this way.
Yeah.
You will feel happy about it. So I think that way I felt it with a lot of my teachers at the end of my 4 years. So I think that was my best memory in college.
Honestly, it doesn't have to be said, but it's also because you've respected your teachers.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be humble and learn from them.
That's right,
And
yes.
each teacher that you walk past and you greet every morning, you're going to look back to them like during your graduation day.
Yes.
And you look back at all of these memories and be like, wow. Okay.
I mean, we're not giving them a respect because they're teachers. We're giving them a respect because they're giving us the knowledge that we have today.
Right.
So I think that's what everyone should know. So that's what I think. So this is all I have to cherish from college.
That's absolutely beautiful. And I'm glad you had an amazing time with BM.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you so much, Teju, for joining us
Thank
today.
you so much for calling me here. It was great of being able to share my experiences and my knowledge of what I think of where I am today and how life is going on.
Right, and it was an absolute inspiration learning from you throughout this conversation, and I hope all of the people who have been watching these podcast videos are learning a lot from you and the other alumni as
Hopefully.
well. Thank you guys for watching. Do check out all the other videos that we have on our channel. You can also check out the campus tour and all of those other videos as well. And I hope you have a great time. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes. Stay informed and stay authentic.